It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, it is indeed the Anthony Cumia Show. Thanks for tuning in. Man, it's a whole new year, and, we've had a little time off. We all understand every year what this is like, picking yourself up by those old bootstraps and kicking your ass back into work, back into doing what you do. I gather a lot of people probably worked in between the Christmas New Year thing, but some people get off the entire time, and that means tomorrow, mañana, is time for work. And boy, that's something that just bites at you the whole weekend. You had all that time off, and by Saturday, sometimes even Friday night, you're just thinking, oh, God, it's almost over. I got to go back. Got to go back on Monday. And it's Friday. Like, no, I'll just enjoy my Friday night. I got Saturday and then Sunday. And oh, yeah, but then Monday. It really is psychologically wears on you. But so it is. So it is every year. That's what happens. I hope everybody had a safe and fun New Year's Eve. Not too many horror stories, which is good, except for the kiss on New Year's Eve. That was I watched that for New Year's Eve. You know, the feed from Times Square, and everybody, of course, kisses their significant other or whoever's next to them on New Year's Eve at the stroke of midnight. And there were two gentlemen, some 5 o'clock shadow, just like dudes. And, I guess they were an item and started making out during the montage of people kissing during New Year's Eve, ringing in the new year. And I guess it might have been ESPN or one of them. It was so friggin' funny. The guy hosting that show, he's watching, and he sees the two guys kissing, and he goes, "Oh, what the hey! There you go. It's great that people are." He almost lost his job. He almost lost his job. It was so funny to watch because he's just, what the hell is going on here? Why are we watching? And it hit him in a split second. His life flashed before his eyes if he said that, and fired, shunned, the apology tour, trying to get a gig, and it all within a second flashed before his eyes, and he went, "What the hell? Whoa, is this fun? Look, people just having fun and ringing in the new year." I know things are changing. I see a lot of stand-up comics these days making jokes about gays, trans, minorities, whatever it is. It wasn't happening for a while, and people aren't getting as jammed up and in trouble for voicing their opinions on things like sexuality and race and crime and things like that. So it might be safer these days to actually be outspoken about that stuff, but not when you're a TV host like that. So to see him pull back on those reins and make it seem like it was a great thing that was happening when he was utterly disgusted by two men kissing was a great start to the new year. That was fun. Nice quiet one here. I don't mind. Bottle of champagne, the significant other, and the dog, the cat, TV. That's great. I was saying last week, I'm not a big go out on New Year's Eve guy. Never have been. I usually had parties over my house, but the idea of getting out on the roadways, and if it's not the drunks, it's the cops, and, it's amateur hour out there. Rookies, bunch of rookies. They don't know how to drink. They don't handle their drink well. So, yeah, I just hope you had a great, safe, and fun New Year's Eve. And, boy, we're ringing it in with a bang, if I may have a pun. Venezuela. The Trump military action, is that what we're calling it? A military action, an operation. Allow me to show you my operation. Or war, as the left and the Democrats are hypocritically calling it. There is a lot going on here. A lot. And there's a few schools of thought on speaking about this. There's, hey, because I've been asked this, hey, Anthony, how do you feel about what Trump did? You seem to be an America first kind of a guy. Trump promised no new wars, this, that, the other thing. And I'm like, yeah. There's a lot to digest there. Then there is, regardless or irregardless of how you feel about what was actually done, there's also a big discussion about how the left is handling it. Poorly, I would say. Poorly is a good way to describe how they're handling it. The hypocrisy is just, it's so thick with these Democrats and liberals and politicians and all the talking heads on the mainstream media and social media. So there's two different topics there. And we'll definitely talk about those tonight. And your calls. Don't forget, I cherish what you people have to say, what your opinions are, regardless of what the audience says in the comments. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222 gets you on the phones. Also, I do scroll through my X account and read some of the comments there. So I'm Anthony Cumia on X, and during the show, you can comment on anything I've tweeted or post something new with my name in it, and I might read it right here on these very airwaves. And so I'm going to start with the actual mission, operation, whatever you want to call it. Donald Trump and company decided it was time to do something about this Nicolás Maduro, who's been the president of Venezuela for a while. And I think a lot of people have determined his presidency wasn't all that legit. And they've spoken out over the course of the years that he needs to be dealt with. Some of the people have said he needs to be removed. And by people, I mean American politicians on the right and left said, hey, this guy's no good for Venezuela. He's destroying the place. Poverty. There's natural resources there that he wasn't able to use, didn't want to use. The country was poor. He's rich. You know, a dictatorship. And then Trump decides to do something about it. And there's an argument here as to why. Why did Donald Trump decide to do something about it? Humanitarian reasons? Drugs? Is it the drugs coming in? The oil? Is it oil? We'll talk about that too. But right now, whatever the reason was, he did. He went in and arrested Nicolás Maduro and Cilia Flores, Maduro's wife. What kind of man could he be if his wife has a different last name? I don't want your last name. So they arrested them. It supposedly, by any evidence we've seen, went off without a hitch. Guys got in there. They infiltrated. They took Maduro and his wife out. and no American casualties there. So that's good. That is a good thing. And I think that is really pissing off the Democrats. They would have loved to have seen a debacle, a cluster F, something that they really could have turned around and gone, oh, my God, the guy can't handle anything. You know, like Joe Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal, something like that. They would have loved to have seen a scenario like that where it was just a disaster. But it wasn't. Pete Hegseth, the Minister of War, Secretary of War, and Donald Trump and all the military upper echelon that put this together did a great job. They seemed to know where the guy was, what he was doing, how to get to him, what was needed to breach his residence and get him out of there quick and easy. There were some bombs that were dropped. I saw some video of explosions, pretty sensational. And that was that. And you know, we'll talk about why Trump may have done this. That was how the mission was accomplished. It's soaking it in and how Americans, the Democrats, the Republicans, some other world leaders are reacting to it, what they're saying, and the blatant hypocrisy on the left about what Trump did with this mission. So your calls also, like I said, 800-848-9222, and we'll be back and get this rolling. More of the show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Is it war? Is it illegal? Is Trump a war criminal? Did he circumvent the Constitution by not informing Congress of his intentions in Venezuela? Oh, my God. So much going on social media, which is another part of this story, social media. The news of this Venezuelan operation was put out there on X. That's really where 99% of the people, except maybe the Venezuelans, found out that this was even going on. Within minutes, there was a guy on X in Venezuela walking down the street streaming. He was just streaming because that's what he does, maybe a Venezuelan influencer. And you see the lights around him go out. You hear a big explosion and hear air raid sirens going off. And at that point, what's the mainstream media? You're going to switch to Fox News or CNN and get the scoop on what's happening? Dinosaurs. Mainstream media are dinosaurs in this day and age. Thank God, too, because not only are they dinosaurs, they're lying pieces of crap. You're not getting the story without their political spin on it. And, I like social media being there. You absorb what happens, and you use everything, your own resources, your knowledge, your experience, cross-reference some other things that you can find and find out. Look up the people involved. Like no one really, I don't think any real laymen who aren't politically active or do any kind of a political show even knew who Maduro was. I thought it was that Mexican beer. No. Maduro. No one knew. Venezuela. A bunch of people, I don't even know where it is on a map. That's pretty much what's going on. And then with X, you have the opportunity, if you want, to educate yourself. Make your own decisions. And the media hates that. Oh, boy, do they hate when you make your own decisions and opinions about things that are going on. So that's a big part of this story also. But the hypocrisy, the unbelievable hypocrisy. Hakeem Jeffries, they're all spewing how this is illegal. It's terrible. It's Trump doing more of his dictator stuff. How is removing a dictator being a dictator? I guess you could say that he wants to also run Venezuela. He did say that the U.S. will be running Venezuela in the interim while they get a leader in there. Who's in there now? Delcy Rodriguez, or as they say on the news, Delcy Rodriguez in Venezuela. Yes, they love putting on that accent when they do their newscasts. So she's in there, and Trump gave her the, hey, you better watch your ass. Trump's just out there telling these leaders now, hey, don't put it past me, man. Do not put it past me. And I think this works out well for the country. Whether this Venezuelan mission that was done over the weekend, how it hashes out in the future, because a lot of politicians are saying this is regime change. And anytime we've done regime change, it never works out well. We've done it before. Look how Iraq turned out, Afghanistan. We try these things. And the one thing here that's different is Donald Trump. Donald Trump isn't like any of these other presidents, for good or bad. For good or bad. He's not like any of these other presidents that have undertaken regime change over the course of the years. His motivation is different. If this is indeed an opportunity to get American hands on Venezuelan oil, because that's always the thing. Anytime we do anything in a country that has oil under their ground, it couldn't possibly be for anything else but that oil. And I don't know. Who am I? I'm not privy to the deep basement levels of the Pentagon or the CIA or anything like that. So I don't know. But it does seem that when these wars are undertaken for oil, as they've said in the past, that the only people that really win are the politicians and the higher ups in that mysterious Illuminati top of the pyramid. Because our fuel prices just keep going up during those past instances. You know, the Iraq war. Oh, they got oil. If we go over there and take them over, we'll get oil. And all of a sudden our oil prices go down. And then you realize, oh, no. See, the cronies and the contractors and the politicians, they're not going to pass the savings on to us. They just want to make the money off the oil and keep charging us more per gallon at the tank and for our heating oil and everything else we use fuel for. So those wars for oil, we never saw any of it. I honestly think if we were to utilize Venezuela's oil and it drove our energy costs down, I'm all for it. I am all for it. Why did we stop doing things like this? Why did we stop things like conquering? You know, maybe come up with a different term, you know, like they do with abortion. They call it health care, women's health care. But it's like abortion. But abortion, even the left knows it's an ugly term. It's like, oh, women's health care. Why can't conquering be something? And not colonialism, imperialism. That doesn't work either. A good, fun name that everyone could get behind and like that doesn't sound like you're conquering somebody, taking the spoils. Look, we have people coming into this country every day from other nations and reaping the spoils of the United States. and we just sit around and take it. Taxpayers dole out tax dollars. If I'm paying tax dollars for a military, why shouldn't I want them to be utilized for the benefit of this country? I'm not talking about fighting foreign wars for Israel or fighting it for Saudi Arabia for their oil. We have to do something that they want us to do. I'm talking about our unbelievable, strong military going into a country and going, yeah, we need a little of that. We're going to be skimming that like like the mob with the casinos. What's the skim? What's the skim? Oh, there you go. We're gonna take a little of your oil. Why? Why do we have to be nice? Why do we have to obey these world rules that we didn't make up? We're always the evil one, the United States. Always so evil. I like this. I got to be honest. And this doesn't seem like a quagmire, or this doesn't seem like a boondoggle or some kind of a protracted war like Afghanistan, Iraq, whatever the hell we're doing in Syria, Libya, all those nonsense wars where most Americans don't even know we have troops there. This is one afternoon, one evening, in, out. We get the big guy. We go, yeah, we're going to be the boss for a little while. And then we take some of their natural resources, the spoils. What happened to getting the spoils? Our matey, where's the treasure chest, the booty? I like that, the idea of that. Sorry, that is America first to me. Why does America first have to be in our borders? All right, back in a flash.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and of course we are talking about Venezuela, and what went down over the weekend, what people are saying about it. As a matter of fact, I think you got to click that little thing on the phones back at home base up there. How is it, New York? Cold? I was out with a T-shirt today. Marvelous. Ha, ha, ha. Here we go. Where's Steve? Steve, Manhattan. Hey, you got a new mayor, Steve. How you doing?
Anthony, we're doing great, man, and it's great to hear you, and Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you.
I got to just say something to make this thing sound good to everybody. Right now in America, there are only two types of people. There's the type of people who are the patriots who want to get rid of the 65 Immigration Act, and the people who are spokesmen for the establishment who keep saying, oh, just come here legally. Yeah, come here legally and turn Dearborn, Michigan upside down, and Minnesota upside down, and New York City upside down. And it's crazy. And you know something? People are wondering, like in Venezuela, let's face the fact, they're sending drugs in here, and we know damn well other countries will pick up the slack with sending the drugs because the market demands it. But also that psychopath Maduro was sending in his murderers, his rapists, drug dealers, all kinds of freaks and scam artists into America. One of the freaks from Venezuela murdered Laken Riley from Georgia. It's 2 years now that girl was murdered. Yeah. And some of that, like you call it booty very appropriately, that money, that treasure, I think a nice $5 million check from that oil should be sent to that family and everybody who's been a victim of what's gone on with these invaders coming into this country. And we built the whole oil structure in Venezuela. He just pulled the Castro. He threw the American oil companies out of there, i.e. corporations, multinational. And that's why they can't run the joint. And also the Chinese can't run it. Their buddies are the Chinese and the Russians. And we know we're their buddies now. I thought those were they're always talking big, right? Well, Putin is bogged down in Kyiv, right? And he can't get out of there. And China, you know what Trump's going to do. He's going to send a giant, big, humongous tariff. If they try to do anything, he'll hit them with a tariff like bigger than the universe and stuff. So that's crazy. But that's the way it goes, folks. These people are sending their people over here. They're having a field day. They're robbing us blind. And realistically, if we don't address these issues, the country's gone. I'm telling you now because, and I know you're really engaged and stuff, but there are a lot of people who've been engaged for 20, 30, 40 years. I've talked to guys. They said they're going to walk away from it. Yeah. And these are conservative dudes. They say, I'm not going to bother no more voting or anything. They're so fed up that nothing is done. And then you brought up like Mandani and the buses and stuff. I could tell you, first of all, how many people in this audience have recently been on a New York City bus? Come on now, folks.
True.
The last time I was on a city bus, this is no BS, was high school in New York City, all right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think you had to flash the pass, and you had to put something in. I forgot how much it was. There was one bus driver. If one kid didn't throw the quarter in or whatever it is, he would shut the bus down, and everybody would be 2 hours late for work.
Yep.
And I wonder where that dude is now. But listen, the trains and buses are free now. I mean, I'm on the trains. They jump over the stile. They open the emergency store right in front of the police offices. That's true. And 10, 20 people come running in. That's why they had to do the congestion pricing. They make the suckers who drive around below 60th Street, they make them pay all that extra money because you're paying for the people who don't pay the fares.
Who don't pay. It's welfare. Right. Again, it's a welfare system. The people that work, the hard workers, the people that get paid and earn their money, being forced to give it over to the people that don't, criminals, welfare recipients, and it doesn't have to go through a vote or anything. They do it by proxy. You will pay these fares for transportation. They will not, and you will absorb the cost of the people that aren't paying. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate your call. The idea, I liked his idea. Lake and Riley being murdered a couple of years ago by this Venezuelan maniac. They got money. They got resources down there. We take over with pumping the oil and pulling the gold out of the ground or whatever. And then we can, it's not going to replace a loved one, but make it a little easier for the families by giving them a huge check care of Venezuela or whatever other one of these crap countries that have resources and don't know how to get them out of the ground themselves. That'd be nice. How about that? Or how about just lower fuel prices? I'd love to see a $1.50 a gallon. Wouldn't that be great? Because we're just pumping fuel out of the ground. How about the fact that our strategic fuel reserve was decimated under Biden? Just decimated. And what happened there? How about we fill it up? Fill it up, sir. Fill it up. Here's my credit card. We fill it up with Venezuelan oil. We just go right to the tap and take it. I like the idea of conquering again, going in and doing something. And let me tell you something. Because if you think China or Russia or Cuba or anyone else that isn't pals with us didn't have their eyes all over Venezuela, aren't in there already. China had a meeting with Maduro. He had a meeting set up before Trump snatched him away. Those Chinamen are still in hotels down there going, what happened? They have their eyes on that oil and those resources that they're going to use. A lot of the precious minerals that are needed for electronics, batteries. They got that down there in Venezuela. You don't think China wanted to do that and wasn't going to use muscle if they had to? Or some type of evil alliance? So we go down there, we snatch up the leader and go, we'll make sure someone gets in there that is right with us. And in the meantime, little Marco's going to be down there with an oil rig hat, and he's going to be filling up barrels and sending them back here. I like it. And for those that say it's not America first and being an isolationist, and it's not practical. It doesn't mean you're going overseas and committing American troops to years of warring for something you don't even know what it is. What was Afghanistan about? What was it about? Iraq. After Saddam was gone, and even before, but after, it'd be very difficult to make a case that we were there for any reason whatsoever. Democracy building? What? Huh? At least oil made sense. But Venezuela? Yeah, I could see that. Go down there, pop in, pop out, and we get some resources. And Trump said no never-ending foreign wars. That, to me, means committing troops to a war like Afghanistan, or a war that is a proxy war for another country. I am completely against that, and I think that's what the majority of the vast majority of Trump supporters, where they're at. But something like this, so that means that because Trump said no never-ending foreign wars, that any military action is like, oh, see what Trump did? That's not true at all. Blowing up a terrorist here and there, going into Venezuela and snatching up a guy that has warrants, wants and warrants in this country. He's indicted. This was under the guise of a law enforcement mission. I get it. Is it for oil? Probably. It's probably they looked at the big picture and said, hey, we could do this, and it'll also mean we get this. Yeah. That doesn't mean he's starting a war, and that's all we've heard and seen from these idiots and imbeciles on the left with their protests. You see these? You see these people with their protesting? You see Venezuela, and you see the videos coming from Venezuela, and the people seem pretty psyched that this Maduro guy is gone. And of course, the American liberal knows more about Venezuela and Maduro in a matter of hours than the actual Venezuelan people that live down there. They know what's best for them, to have this leader, to not have him. They know. And they're putting signs, they're holding up signs saying, free him, release him. No war with Venezuela. It's not a war. And these politicians going on these dumb talking head shows on the usual suspect networks saying, look, he started a war with Venezuela. Hey, relax. If that was the case, Obama started wars with every country in the Middle East, pretty much. But they don't, they're born hypocrites. And they forget, I think they forget that video and audio is readily available to people. And that's what I kind of want to get to right now. I haven't done it in a week. Clown of the Week, of course. And this week it is a guy who has been Clown of the Week before. He has been. A lot of people have the returning honor of being the Clown of the Week. I might as well play our little sounder, Clown of the Week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
That's right. And the Clown of the Week this week, returning, is Chuck Schumer. Chuck the Schmuck Schumer. This is just so hypocritical and so typical of what we're seeing from the Democrats and the left after this Venezuelan operation. So here's Chuck Schumer in 2020, and he's talking about Maduro and Venezuela and criticizing Trump on his policies toward Venezuela in 2020. Chuck.
He brags about all these things he wants to do or is doing, but his actions belie his words. Maybe the best metaphor was his claim to bring democracy to Venezuela. There was a big policy there. It flopped. If the policy was working, Juan Guaido wouldn't be in the balcony here. He'd be in Venezuela. He'd be sitting in the president's palace, or at least waging a fight to win. He's here. And the president brags about his Venezuela policy? Give us a break. He hasn't brought an end to the Maduro regime. The Maduro regime is more powerful today and more entrenched today than it was when the president began.
Wow. Compelling argument from 2020 Chuck Schumer. Interesting. What would 2026 Chuck Schumer have to say about that and what happened over the course of the weekend? 2026, Chuck?
So what can the Congress do about it is the next question.
Well, the next question is very simple, and that is that we have the War Powers Act. That's a privilege resolution, which means the Republicans can't block it. Tim Kaine and I and Rand Paul are sponsors of it. It's going to come to the floor this week. And if it is voted for, if it's voted positively in both houses, then the president can't do another thing in Venezuela without the okay of Congress. We have to pass it.
There's already the War Powers Act. What are they going to pass? Something that makes it necessary for the president to work with Congress during the time he is allowed in the War Powers Act? I just happen to have a little explanation. People don't know what the War Powers Act is. 1973, the U.S. federal law designed to limit the president's power to commit troops to armed conflict without Congress's consent. Now, that sounds like, sounds like Chuck Schumer was absolutely right. I read on. Passed over President Nixon's veto. Nixon vetoed it. I don't like the idea that I can't go into Cambodia. After the Vietnam War to restore legislative authority over war making. It requires the president, here it is, kids, to notify Congress within 48 hours of deploying forces into hostilities and mandates withdrawal within 60 to 90 days unless Congress authorizes the action or declares war, though its constitutionality and effectiveness remain debated. Well, it sure looks like Trump, if this even was constituted any type of war making or military action, this seems to me, with the DEA being involved and other law enforcement forces, to be a law enforcement action that was taken. But, all right, the military was involved, so we'll give you that. But Congress was notified within 48 hours. We were all notified within minutes. How about that? And the withdrawal of troops happened in hours, couple hours, not 60 to 90 days. And now Schumer wants to pass something so that Trump's hands are tied in Venezuela too, like they are here in the United States. Hey, at least maybe he could get something done in Venezuela. There's a lot of politicians saying, Trump wants to take over Venezuela. He can't even run this country. Yeah, he has a hard time running this country because there's roadblocks in his way at every turn. At every turn, Democrats, liberals, activist judges, all the crap that he has to put up with to get his policies put in place. They put up walls at every turn. Now they want the ability so Trump can't do anything in Venezuela without congressional approval. Nothing gets done with congressional approval. And thank God he didn't say anything to them. You know damn well Hakeem Jeffries and company would have leaked it all over, tried to undermine it, trying to get Americans killed while they were doing their job down there. So they could, just for the sheer purpose of saying, look, Trump can't even pull off a military operation. He's incompetent. The military is this, that. Pete Hegseth is this and that and the other thing. They would have leaked it. They would have told Maduro. So he wouldn't even been there. This is what happens when you notify Congress. Look, I know it's a weird congressional sticky wicket. But until they all get their asses in order, something's got to be done. And nothing gets done. You listen to Biden, and even before that, Obama, all of them. What did they do? Oh, we have some harsh words for this guy. Oh, hey, we're going to sanction you. Oh, you best not talk like that, or we'll get a UN resolution against you. Trump goes, oh, what's this guy doing? Yeah, let's go in there and fly his ass into prison. All right. And it gets done. Goes off without a hitch. And I swear, I guarantee you that's what they're so mad at, is that it just went off so smoothly. They had a mission, and they executed it with perfection, and it made Trump look strong and good, made the military look competent again. I didn't see one picture of some transgender soldier, a man in a little army wax dress. Those were men. And that's what did it. That's who was able to pull this off. And that's what pisses off the left and the Democrats. All right, back in a moment. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Let's talk to, let me get that there. Mr. Matt. Matt in the Bronx. What's up, Matt?
Hey, Anthony. I'd like to talk briefly about Venezuela.
Yes, sir.
Insofar as that, I really do believe that. Well, first of all, I want to ask you: are you familiar with Paul Craig Roberts?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, he wrote an excellent column on how President Trump is deviating massively from his non-interventionist, non-regime change, national security statement, and his platform, his presidential platform. And I would agree with that. But, the intervention in Venezuela is on totally fabricated, trumped-up charges of narcotics trafficking. I mean, most of the narcotics coming out of South America comes from Colombia, Ecuador, to a lesser extent, Bolivia and Peru. Venezuela, the main reason why the neocons around Donald Trump want Maduro gone in Venezuela is his support for the Palestinians in the Middle East.
Does this all come down to the Jews again?
It comes down to the neoconservatives.
Everything has to go back to Israel. I wish we could talk about one thing without having every time to go back to Israel. Sometimes things just happen between nations. Sometimes it's politically advantageous or not for the United States to do something or not do something. And believe it or not, it might not involve Israel at all. Maybe. Just maybe. I don't know, Matt, but thank you. I just want to get through a topic without having to be like, oh, it's it. Look, and I understand. I'm not a big fan of everything Israel does as far as our relationship goes with the United States of America over the course of the years. There's plenty that I look at and go, yeah, how is that helping us as a nation? But when you talk about Venezuela, and look, I'll read something here that Kamala Harris came out and said about Donald's actions. Donald Trump's actions in Venezuela do not make America safer, stronger, or more affordable. That's just how she started. What did being in Syria do? Huh, Kamala? What did that do? How did that make America safer, stronger, or more affordable? Pick any one of these crap holes that we have troops in Africa and tell me how it makes us safer, stronger, or more affordable if those are the three criteria you're putting out there as far as a military action goes. I assume from her writing that she means that a military action, some type of action, has to make America safer, stronger, or more affordable. What does that do? How does any of those Middle Eastern kerfuffles we've been involved in for decade upon decade under Obama, who had your boy Biden as vice president, under Biden's presidency, who you were the vice president under, how did any of those things, those actions that we were involved in, make America safer, stronger, or more affordable? This happened like yesterday. How in the hell can you tell if anything that Trump does in Venezuela will make it safer, stronger, or more affordable here in America? I think if we pump a few million barrels of oil out of there, that might make it more affordable. I think if the idea that Venezuela isn't putting drugs into this country is insane. Of course they are. Is it fentanyl? Is it this? I don't know. But you know damn well Venezuela is sending dope up here to America. Stopping that pipeline, wouldn't that make it safer? I don't know. I think so. So her criteria doesn't quite add up. She says that Maduro is brutal, illegitimate dictator. Doesn't change the fact that this action was both unlawful and unwise. She's trying to tell anyone what's wise or unwise. That's amazing. Wars for regime change or oil are sold on strength but turned into chaos, and American families pay the price. What war is this? Where we're at right now. Now, I don't know where this might go, but right now, an indicted illegitimate leader was arrested. Oh, Anthony, you sound naive. I understand. I know there's more to it. But right now, using the word war is a little hyperbole. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say this isn't a war at all? Wouldn't you say that Biden and Obama perpetrated things that resemble wars a lot more than what we saw in Venezuela? I think so. I think so. But, you know, there's plenty. I got the rest of Kamala, Bernie. We'll hear from Bernie. There's plenty of hypocrisy to go around with this Trump-Venezuela operation. And, of course, more of your calls. So don't go anywhere. I have my opinion. I know you have yours. And opinions are like, well, we'll be right back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and talking Venezuela, the actual mission, whether people agree with it or not, whether they think this makes Trump a liar because his platform during the campaign was America first and foremost, and none of these foreign wars. But does this constitute a war? This is a military action. Every president has had military actions under their presidency, and these things don't necessarily mean it's a war. And even if a president says no protracted, never-ending foreign wars as a campaign promise, does that mean any military action is lying, that you have lied during your campaign? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I'm willing to call Trump out when he deserves it. But I don't think this is off base of what he campaigned on. A strong military taking care of America. And again, sometimes, especially in the climate we have now politically, the left, the Democrats, will not let this president do a single thing. Even if it's good for the country, they throw up roadblocks. Their mission is to not let him accomplish a single thing, regardless of how good it would be for the country. They do not care about you. And having them in the loop for a lot of stuff, it's just not practical. It's not a good thing. And until that changes, what are you going to do? Trump was supposed to inform Congress, have a meeting with everyone. We're planning this. We're doing this. And then one guy goes, excuse me, I'm going to go order some pizza. Hang out. And he's on the phone with the press or Maduro or who the hell else leaking the plans. This went off without a hitch because there wasn't a leak to anybody. So when they start crying that they're not being informed and that Trump, that this has nothing to do with drugs, this is about oil. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Probably it is. Probably. I'll even go that far. But what's he supposed to do? I want to invite Congress here because in 3 days, I'm going to go down to Venezuela with some military because we're going to grab up some of their oil. But if you're bombing some drug boats and then a few months later, you go and get the president out of Venezuela because he's in with the cartels, and you say this is because he's hurting Americans with his drugs, there you go. You got a little something to go on. And, oh, by the way, we'll be taking the oil, too. Like, remember Reagan with Iran-Contra? Sometimes rules must be bended a little bit. Anthony, I can't believe you're saying this. You're just throwing away the Constitution. Am I? Like this hasn't been done forever? And if it's done for people's personal gain, yeah, I'm not for that. If it's done for the better of the country, yeah, screw it. Go ahead, take some of their stuff. We've gotten way too civilized as a nation. We should be able to go in. We have some might. Let's twist some arms and get some stuff that this country could use, like oil and some resources for some of these electronic vehicles and computers, AI computers. Then the other thing that a lot of people are a little peeved with is Trump pardoning former Honduran president Juan Orlando Hernandez. He was pardoned by Trump back in December, about a year ago, releasing him from a 45-year U.S. federal prison sentence. That was for drug trafficking and weapons offenses. And, of course, that was widely criticized for contradicting the anti-drug efforts, but defended by Trump as righting a political injustice. Hernandez, convicted for helping smuggling cocaine into the U.S., thanked Trump for the pardon, calling it a correction of a weaponized system. All right. Now, I look at this and go, wow, that seems weird. Trump's got all this anti-drug reasoning for going into Venezuela and scooping up Maduro, and he'll probably be indicted and maybe be convicted and sentenced to prison. And it seems like, well, why wouldn't Trump just pardon him? Why'd you arrest him in the first place? We don't know things. That's just the way it is. The American people sometimes are kept out of the loop of the powers that run this country. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to be privy. I'd like to be told everything that's going on. Not everyone else, just me. Just me. I can handle it. I could keep a secret. That's not going to happen. I would like for it to happen, but it's not. And as a country, we're just not going to be told everything by the leaders. And it sounds a little weird saying it's for our own good. But do you honestly think we should be, and I mean the collective we, the American people? Like I said, tell me. I'm fine. I'm not going to say anything. But do you think we, the collective we that are the American people, would be good with knowing every single thing, every military operation, every covert mission, and every reason why a former Honduran president convicted of drug sales and drug smuggling into this country would be pardoned? Do we need to know the reason? Let's just say, what if that reason is that guy said, you pardon me and I will tell you everything going on with Central American and South American cartels. And you got to assume the Honduran president that was smuggling dope knows a few people. Huh? Knows a few people. Do you think Trump pardoned him and he's just going to be able, I guess he was in a West Virginia prison or something, and he's just going to be like, all right, have fun. Go travel where you want to. Or is there a chance that a deal was made and they said, you got to know a lot of things about that area and its drug cartels, who's doing the business. You want a pardon, a full pardon. You got to tell us everything. Is that even possible? If it was a movie, you'd watch it and go, this is awesome. Or do you think Trump, just out of pure hypocrisy and reckless abandon, just let this guy out of prison as he goes in to arrest another president of another country down there for drugs? Doesn't it seem silly? And doesn't it seem like maybe we don't have the whole story? Maybe that wasn't something he posted on Truth Social or Twitter. And maybe that's a good thing, that some deals are kept behind closed doors when it comes to situations like this. I think so. I think that's a good thing. But that's my opinion. And I'm allowed my opinion. Bob there in Rockland County. What's up?
Hey, how are you?
Good, man.
You got to understand, people have to put things in perspective. Why did he get in? It's very rare when a president comes back like this. Americans could relate to him. You see Trump in pictures. He's went to Studio 54, the discos. We all did this. He's a true American, right? When he mentions, and he had the briefing and interviewed and interrogated, but when he knows that they emptied out people from prisons, mental institutions, and he says it all the time. Yeah. One of the reasons why he's angry, what they did to our country, and he says our country. Yeah. This is one of the main reasons he's angry, and he keeps on saying it. And the Democrats, and a lot of them, and I hope you don't cut me off, a lot of Democrats, a lot of them are liberal Jews. They hate him. They hate him. Now, they hate him because they don't want to understand. A lot of them are not patriotic. Mm-hmm. They never have a flag out there, And you see who they are. Schumer, Donna Bash, Adam Schiff. Yeah. And yet they support a guy like Manzami. It makes no sense. Yeah, I'll never understand that. I can't even figure out a motive why you would be so self-hating to push a guy
like Zohran Mamdani for New York and just kiss Muslim ass constantly. I don't get that whole thing.
Well, they're the same people that I met many, many times, being half Jewish myself, at dinner time, and they run out because then I say, oh, it's an inside job. And I said, it wasn't an inside job. When they don't realize that those were terrorists. You know why? They can't conceive, the communists and the liberals, they can't conceive that other country hate us. They can't conceive it. They can't think about it. So they have to come up with something. An inside job, we took the buildings down. There were no explosives like M80s, sounds like M80s. That's what you would have to, that's the kind of sounds you would hear.
Well, Robert, we could totally get into that whole thing if we had another 18 hours just to begin. But I got to take a quick break. Thank you, Bob, for popping on, and we'll be back in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Just scrolling through X, and actor Ethan Hawke on Donald Trump. I've done enough Shakespeare plays to know power corrupts. It's a common theme of mankind. They're so friggin' full of themselves. Have you, Ethan Hawke? Have you done a lot of Shakespeare? And that's made you more cognizant of the corruption? Oh, gee, did they realize what pompous asses they sound like every time they open their stupid mouths? Shut up. Marco Rubio, of course, Lil Marco, as Trump called him back in 2016. Lil Marco has the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's holding down a few jobs in the Trump administration, and the next one might be temporary president of Venezuela, but he's been facing the media, taking a lot of the heat from mainstream media and talking about this Venezuelan mission and talking about Donald Trump and the differences. See, that's one of the big parts of this whole thing that's been going on. People are talking about it in historical context. Well, we've done this before. We've done the regime change. We've done the war for oil. We've done this. We've done that. There's a different personality in this. This isn't the same guy, the same politicians every time. War hawks that would have just stayed in Venezuela. This is Trump. The reason they hate him is he's not one of them. There's a difference there. And Rubio points it out here. Here's Marco talking about the Venezuelan operation.
This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, you know, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it.
There you go. Isn't that refreshing? President that does something, whether you like it or not. I mean, we do tend to get into these ruts with presidents and even senators, congresspeople. They speak, they say things, they seem very passionate, and then they do nothing. Look at these congressional hearings and Senate hearings that we see all the time. We get so excited to pop up a clip on our phones and send it to a friend. Look at this. Oh, they're screwed now. Oh, boy, he got him good with this one. Won't be long now, the orange jumpsuit, and they'll be perp walking. And what happens? Nothing. Nothing gets done. How many times do we have to hear about sanctions and strongly worded statements and an alliance that we forged against this and the other? And what happens? Nothing. Trump said something. He said, this Maduro guy, he's a bad guy. He shouldn't be president. He's harming the United States. We're going to get rid of him. And he got rid of him. You got to at least give him that. He followed through, whether you agree or not. A lot of people very angry. I kind of like the idea of leadership where they do stuff and not just talk about things. Biden was disastrous. I think we all know that. And one of the most cringe-inducing, that's the brand new word, cringe-inducing. It induces douche chills. Cringe-inducing things he used to do was get up to his podium and make statements that meant nothing. And I don't just mean his psychobabble, Alzheimer rhetoric. When he would get up to the podium and say, we're America. America can do anything. We put our minds to work together as a people. We'll do anything. That's nonsense. It would make me grit my teeth and just, what are you talking about? That old America, it's our spirit. You know, these are conversations families have at the dinner table. You need a good job where there's a wage and a good... Nothing, blah, 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 nothing. I like a president that goes, yeah, we're going to tariff the crap out of this or that. Well, what does that mean? What the hell's a tariff? Is it good? Is it bad? I'm reading both, and I don't know. And then the next day, there's a tariff on something. Well, he did it. At least he did it. How many times you see these guys? They're just liars. They lie for the sake of votes. No other reason. Lying for the sake of votes. Biden with that whole, we're going to pay your student debt. Remember that one? They put a lot of work and money. They shouldn't be in debt when they get out of... That never happened. All of it. They don't do anything. They're mad because Trump does something. They could hate what he's doing. I think they're more angry, like, what is he doing? You're not supposed to do things. I think it makes him look bad. And then when he does something that seems to work, or at least it wasn't a cluster F, that really gets them. Oh, my God. Now they're beside themselves. What do we do? What do we do? Because we don't do anything. That's what we're dealing with. I think that's where the majority of the anger is coming from. So, you know, when Rubio says, yeah, there's a president of action. Good. I want to see that. We haven't seen a president of action in quite some time. Quite some time. All right, we got Bernie. Bernie Sanders talks about Venezuela. And again, it's just another hypocritical, nonsensical statement. Let's listen to Bernie.
Donald Trump has once again shown his contempt for the Constitution and the rule of law. Let's be clear. The President of the United States does not have the right to unilaterally take this country into war, even against a corrupt and brutal dictator like Maduro. The United States does not have the right, as Trump stated this morning, to run Venezuela. Congress must immediately pass a war powers resolution to end this illegal military operation and reassert its constitutional responsibilities. Trump's attack on Venezuela will not make the United States and the world safer. Quite the contrary. This brazen violation of international law gives a green light to any country on earth that may wish to attack another nation to seize their resources or change their governance.
Well, I'll comment on that. Hold that. Put a pin in that, as they say, because I want to comment on why other nations can't just do that. Why the United States and Trump unilaterally went in, grabbed this guy up, and took him out, and why this won't make other countries do this. There is a difference, and I will tell you about it next.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and this whole what happens if other countries are now inspired or empowered by Trump taking this Venezuelan president back to the United States for a prison term. What if a trial, maybe, and then prison? What if other countries want to do the same thing? There's a rule of law. Well, it's a little different with the U.S. Who's arguing? Who's complaining? Who wants to step in and defend this guy? Who? Come on now, step up. Cuba? Really? That's terrible. Washington State, that foreign country? Who's stepping up as another nation saying this will not stand? We are the strongest of allies with Venezuela. Nicolás Maduro is the president, and because this is the rule of law on this earth, and we are allies with Venezuela, we are now declaring war on the United States of America. All right, go ahead. Who? No one really cares. No other foreign nations care. So they're going, oh, what if Putin just wanted to go in and kidnap or take or arrest Zelensky? That'd be a little more of an issue, I think. I think Ukraine and Zelensky has the support of a lot of nations. I don't get it. He's kind of a jack-off. But, it would. I think Putin realizes that he couldn't just do that with impunity. I think he realizes that's over the line. China with Taiwan. Just go into Taiwan, hey, get the leader there and oust him, and now Taiwan is just China. And, well, again, there are Taiwan is important to a lot of nations around the world, and I can't see that happening without world intervention. No one's coming to this guy's aid. They all know he was just this piece of garbage, destroying Venezuela, oppressing the people when he's not running them over with armored personnel carriers. So it wasn't a big deal. So I don't really see that happening. This whole, it's going to get crazy, and now leaders are just going to start kidnapping other leaders. Yeah, we'll see. Scrolling during the break, and Jimmy Kimmel, I guess it's the Critics' Choice Awards. Ugh, who cares? Award shows are just struggling in the tar pit of entertainment. Award shows. I often equate them with the variety show of the 70s. We used to watch those. Yeah. Hey, this is Bob Hope. We got Charo coming up next. I can't believe it. And people watched. It was all we had, really. There were but a few channels, and variety shows were a staple of the 70s. You just couldn't understand why they were putting a singer a sports figure, an actor, together to do a musical comedy number, right? And then they just went away. You will never see another variety show again. And I honestly think this is the direction the award shows are going in. No one cares. Hollywood is so toxic. The Hollywood celebrity is looked at with such disdain these days. Like, screw you. And we used to watch them pat each other on the back and hand themselves gold statues because we enjoyed them. They were celebrities, celebrated. We watched the shows and went, oh, I like that guy. Oh, I like that movie. Oh, that show is good. Or, oh, that is such a great Broadway musical. You know. And now they've opened their yap too many times. They've exposed themselves. Their glitter shine has come off. And they're looked at as the hypocritical, dumb people that put themselves up higher than you, point down at you and tell you how to live your life. This is what they are now. And the idea of sitting there and watching them celebrate each other, hand each other statues for their amazing work, it's nauseating. And the ratings are in the crapper, and they will stay there. The struggling dinosaur in the tar pit. So this stegosaurus, Jimmy Kimmel, he got up to accept the Critics' Choice Award for Best Talk Show. What a surprise. Do you think the people that picked the Critics' Choice Awards and they saw that Jimmy Kimmel is one of the nominees because they nominated him, and they went, what's a great way to stick it to Donald Trump? Let's give him an award telling him how great he is. Like, we would look at that and go, wow, God, but I like Trump and I hate Jimmy Kimmel, but if the Critics' Choice Awards are going to give him an award, this totally throws my whole idea of who I should support up in the air. I just don't know. This is what they do. Is Jimmy Kimmel's show so good it deserves a golden statue? Critics' Choice Award. Not even a good one. So he said, let's get this. He did his thank yous, and then at the end of his thank yous, he said, and most of all, I want to thank our president, Donald Jennifer Trump. Donald J. Trump? What does Donald Jennifer Trump mean? Is that funny? Without whom we would be going home empty-handed tonight. You're right. The Critics' Choice Awards board wouldn't have given you this if they didn't think they were doing some disservice or insulting Donald Trump in some way. So you're right there. It's not the brilliant comedy and commentary you've done on Donald Trump, which is what he's trying to put across here. So thank you, Mr. President, for all the many ridiculous things you do each and every day. It's been a banner couple of weeks, and we can't wait to get back on the air tomorrow night and talk about them. Is anyone watching? The Critics' Choice Award, give an award to a show that no one is watching. They had that big thing where they got some ratings for not even a week when he was fired and then brought back, suspended over, what was it, the statements, whatever the hell it was. But they threw him off, they bring him back, and what? He's the greatest thing. He deserves awards. It's so obvious. It's so shallow. Ugh. Congrats. Here he goes. All right. Let's see what we got here on the phones. We could go to... Well, Julius, maybe. Julius, Hoboken, New Jersey. What's up?
What's up, Anthony? I'm still a fan of yours, despite my being a leftist and all that shit.
Oh, boy.
Okay? Hey, I'm still a fan of yours.
All right.
Okay, but let's get this out of the way. Maduro, I don't know how much more of a son of a bitch he is, except for the fact that he did not get busted for drugs because this fat windbag we have for a president pardoned another drug-dealing son of a from Honduras. The only difference, of course, is the guy from Honduras was so corrupt in favor of U.S. corporations. The problem with Maduro is that he wasn't willing to share money with Exxon and U.S. oil companies. And this goes back to 20 years ago because Venezuelans dared vote in a guy who said, hey, wait a minute, the profits from our oil should be going to us, not to these oil companies who have been extracting the profits and our resources for decades, since the 1900s, and have paid off corrupt dictatorships to make sure that business keeps on going the same way. And it's the CIA and the U.S. government that's been responsible for why Venezuela's been screwed up, the same way they did it to every other country who doesn't play ball to U.S. business interests.
Yeah, if we're going to invest money in a country and build an entire oil drilling,
we're not investing.
Why won't you let me? Why won't you let me talk now? Julius?
All right.
Why won't you let me talk? That's what liberals do. Now let me talk. If we're going to be investing money, and I say investing, even as corporations going down there building the entire infrastructure to pump that oil out, why the hell wouldn't they want to get profits from it? It should just go to the Venezuelan peasants and people that because they're standing on that oil. What logic is that? They could have just had that oil under their feet forever, never bringing it out of the ground. That's how investing in stuff works. You put up money, you put up labor, and then you reap the rewards. What's wrong with that, Julius? Why are the oil companies so bad?
They were not. First, let me answer that.
All right.
They were being paid by the corrupt Venezuelan government. They created a system where they were stealing more from Venezuela. Okay? It was basically, they were ripping it off. You know, like in that movie, There Will Be Blood. It was basically a siphoning a scheme.
Your milkshake.
They were ripping. Huh?
I drink your milkshake.
I drink your milkshake.
I love that movie.
Dude, that is dude, he should get twice an Academy Award for that role.
Yeah, but doesn't that sound like a Venezuelan problem? If they're so corrupt.
So, yeah, it's a Venezuelan problem. So why should the U.S. people care for Exxon?
Well, I mean, why would Exxon go, well, let me tell you, that government's so corrupt. I certainly, even though we built the infrastructure down there back, like you said, in the early 1900s to pump oil out, this new government in here is so corrupt. I'm just going to leave everything and walk away.
No. They were not any more corrupt than anyone. In fact, I would say compared to the guy before Chavez, who stole about 50% of the Venezuelan treasury and pocketed and left to who knows where, who was working in cahoots with the oil company. This government, you know, it's like since Chavez has been way cleaner compared to a lot of these other dictatorships.
Compared to, Hugo Chavez.
Yeah, I'm being serious.
It's a big drop-off. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, Julius. I get what you're saying, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate your call. I'm going to move on, though, because I want to get my words in because it's my damn show. Yeah, what is an oil company? And I understand. Look, I have no love for Exxon. I have no love for big oil, man. But they're a business. We have to be real. Not every business is the original Ben and Jerry's, which is also a piece of crap now because Ben and Jerry doesn't own it. Ben and Jerry gets all mad when Ben and Jerry's does something that isn't, man, what do you mean? That's going to that new ice cream factory is going to stomp out a caterpillar nest. Companies aren't like that. The main objective of a company is to make money. And oil companies really like making a lot of money. It's not an easy thing. You don't see Bob's Oil or Bill's Oil Company. That's why they are unbelievable mega corporations, because it is very, very hard to pull the magical black liquid that runs the earth out of the ground. It's very, very difficult to do. It becomes more difficult every year. And they've done amazing things, squeezing oil out of this planet from every corner, under the water, into the sides of under mountains. And they're just supposed to go, oh, here's Venezuela, a country that has, what I heard, more oil than Saudi, more oil than the Middle East. And that entire oil-sucking industry in Venezuela was built by oil companies and advanced Western nations like the United States. And then because a corrupt government gets put in place, the oil companies are supposed to have some kind of a moral compass and go, well, I'm certainly not dealing with this guy. Shut it down, gentlemen. Shut it down. No, you have to deal with who you have to deal with. Donald Trump was in construction in the 80s in New York City. You didn't move a teaspoon of concrete in New York City without the mafia doing it. Not a teaspoon. Did Donald Trump go, well, I guess we can't build? Or did his company work with the mafia? And I'm not saying that is a bad thing. Oh, Donald Trump. See, anyone on the left would look at that and go, Donald Trump worked with the mafia. Yeah, everyone did. Everyone worked with the mafia in construction in New York City in the 80s and into the 90s. And now, I'm not that stupid. It's just not as widespread as it was then. Every single concrete truck. So was he just supposed to go, oh, well, can't build a building? Or do you figure out a way to work with the evils you have to work with to progress? That's what happens. So you could say the oil companies are evil. They worked with this guy, Chavez, and this guy. That's how it works. That's how the world works. Everyone isn't an angel. And the only way you could pull oil out of the ground is if the government of the country is a nice guy. Come on. You're living in fantasy land. A little fantasy world. Get with it. Open your eyes. I don't like some of the things that go on. But it doesn't mean you shut your eyes to it and don't know that they're happening. Make the best of it. And I think that's what Trump's doing in Venezuela. Make the best of it. Drag that guy out of there. Try to get somebody in there that's not going to be as evil as this guy. And let's start pulling some oil out. $1.50 gas. Would that be a hoot? Price of everything comes down when the price of energy comes down. So if you think for a second I got a problem with that, I don't, my friends. I do not. Let's do it. Let's use American might, ingenuity, and balls and get some oil. Back in a moment. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, it is the Anthony Cumia Show. And got a lot more, of course, on the Venezuelan situation. It's a very difficult situation. But, man, Chris Murphy, he was making the rounds. He's of course, a representative congressman. What is he, senator? Chris Murphy, where is he? Chris Murphy, Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut. He was talking about this Venezuelan thing and Donald Trump, and another thing that time sure makes a big difference on what these people think, because he said something in 2019, and it was a little different than what he's saying now. Let's listen to what he said now.
Well, I mean, clearly this is wildly illegal. This is a president who has been operating illegally since he was sworn into office, stealing from the American people, seizing spending power.
What's illegal?
Now dragging America into a war overseas. The president cannot run a military operation of this size, cannot invade a foreign country without coming to Congress first, without allowing the American public to weigh in. America doesn't want this war. Nobody asked for this because it has nothing to do with American national security. And I think that's the most important conversation to have. Listen, Venezuela is not a security threat to the United States. They're not threatening to invade us. There is no terrorist group like Al-Qaeda operating there that has plans to attack the United States. To the extent that you care about the drug trade, yes, they produce drugs, but those drugs go to Europe. Fentanyl is the drug that's killing Americans. That's not coming from Venezuela. Venezuela produces cocaine. 90% of it is not coming to the United States.
First of all, how does he know where Venezuela is sending their coke? All the drugs just go to Europe? Wouldn't it be easier to just bring it here to the U.S.? We don't get Venezuelan coke? What happened? How many times did he use the word war? War. Americans should know if their country is being taken into war. War. Invade. Trump can't just invade a country without Congress and the American people voting. Invade, war. What are you talking about? This was a quick in and out mission to get an indicted drug kingpin and bring him to this country for justice. Meanwhile, they cannot overblow everything for their own little propaganda sideshow. Oh, my God, this guy. It's going to Europe? Oh, they don't have terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda or anything? The cartels? The gangs in Venezuela? We had them in Boulder, in Denver, Colorado. Remember, they were taking over apartment buildings? We don't have, because they're not Muslim terrorist groups with bomb vests and 767s. Cartels don't amount to being a danger to this country if we don't keep them in check. What is this guy thinking? Oh, they don't have fentanyl. They just have cocaine. Oh, yeah, so safe. Coke hasn't killed anyone in this country. Coke hasn't destroyed anyone's lives here in the United States. It's just they hate Trump so much that anything he does is the worst thing that's ever happened. Let's play this other, or let me read this to you. Actually, it's a tweet that he posted back in 2019. Chris Murphy, your Connecticut senator. If Trump cared about consistency, he would make the realist case for intervention in Venezuela. And then in parentheses, getting rid of Maduro is good for the United States, rather than trying to pretend his administration all of a sudden cares about toppling anti-democratic regimes. He's pushing for precisely what Donald Trump did just days ago, pushing for in 2019. And these dummies, I guess, don't know how the internet works. Forever. It's forever. It's right there. Chris Murphy at Chris Murphy CT. CT could be something else if you put a couple of letters in between, but it is also the abbreviation for Connecticut. But, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. He just doesn't get it. His post is precisely what Donald Trump did. And then he's talking about illegal, this, that, and the other thing. Of course, stupid Connecticut. Does anyone really look at Connecticut and think, whoa, there's your powerhouse state. There's your powerhouse state in this country. I'm sure Connecticut was something, in the 1700s. Even by the 1800s, I think a lot of other states were surpassing Connecticut. Get rid of that T in your stupid name, too. Don't make any sense. Connecticut. All right. We'll be back in a matter of moments. A lot more to come. I see Sandra's on the phone if you want to stick around for that. Oh, she's a dear. Your calls and a lot more coming up. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you so much for your continued support as we thrust into 2026. Can't believe it. Just saw this really quickly. I guess Mayor Mamdani, that's who he is, Mayor Mamdani in New York City, he has appointed another cabinet member or someone, an advocate. This is Cia Weaver. See you later or something. Cia Weaver. This is Mamdani's tenant advocate director. This is going to be somebody that's going to look into the cost of rent, if tenants have heat, electricity, if their apartments are getting the maintenance that they need, things like that. And Cia Weaver, first of all, Cia looks, boy, if you get a load of Cia Weaver, it's Lenny Dykstra transitioning into a woman. If Lenny Dykstra, Nails Dykstra, decided to become a woman, that is Cia Weaver. And Cia has a 2019 tweet. And let's see what Cia was thinking way back in 2019. Can't possibly be what Cia Weaver thinks now. But in 2019, way back, Cia Weaver tweeted, private property, including and kind of especially home ownership, is a weapon of white supremacy masquerading as wealth-building public policy. Owning a house is white supremacy to Cia Weaver. They just don't stop. This is now Zohran Mamdani's tenant advocate director. So good luck. Good luck with that one. And then I also saw, I didn't get the clip, but it's making it the rounds. It's Donald Trump on Air Force One talking about Tim Walz. I guess he was asked about Tim Walz. And he said, I quote, he's a stupid, low IQ governor. And then he said he's not doing anything about the Somalis. And then he went on a tear about Somalia and that they're pirates and the fact that they don't try to take ships anymore is because Trump blows them up with the same missiles he blows up the drug boats with. That's just a little bit of what Donald's talking about to the press on Air Force One. You got to, yeah, what a hoot. What a hoot. But like I said, thank you so much for supporting the show. It's been great. A lot of people coming aboard. They're also going to 77 WABC Radio's YouTube page. And we got a lot of videos being put up there, and I'm really, really happy with the amount of people that are watching and downloading those videos, sharing them with friends. So if you want to send someone clips of the show or watch clips for yourself, there it is, 77 WABC Radio on YouTube. All right, let's see what else is going on. I do want to get to a couple of other things. At the top of the 9 o'clock hour, we did talk a little bit about, or was it the first hour? Talked about the fairs, the fare hikes, and some of the things going on in New York. Because, you know, I'm from New York. Our base of operations here with this show is New York City. And, yeah, I kind of got an interest in what's going on. And I think anybody in any large city can kind of commiserate with New York, because it's either showing you what your city already went through or the horror of things to come in your city. So good luck. But this is, here it is. We talked about the fare hikes and things going on, and I guess the buses are increasing to $3. The Long Island Railroad is going up. The tunnels are going up. And again, I'm not blaming Mamdani for this. This was the MTA and the state increased these well before Mamdani came in or even was elected. This was already in place, taking effect today, effective January 4th. So I'm not blaming him, but it's just kind of funny that he ran on this policy of free buses and lower prices, and within days they raised the prices of public transportation. But that's not the only thing. There is a new law being put in place in New York. This is the paid sick leave laws. Now, for companies, sick leave is something that's just terrible. Your employee can leave, they get paid, and you get nothing out of them for that time. I guess it's considered a perk. You know, you want a few perks when you get a job, but man, that's got to be terrible for an employer. So let's see. Oh, here it is. So, what purpose can an employee use sick leave for? If you have a mental or physical illness, injury, or health condition, need to get a medical diagnosis, care, or treatment of a mental or physical illness, injury, or health condition, or need to get preventive medical care. So I guess you could call your boss up and go, I just feel bat crap crazy today. I'm going to need the week off. And by the way, you will be paying me. I don't know about that. I don't know how many companies are going to be pleased as punch for that. Can an employee use sick leave for doctor, dentist, or eye doctor appointments? This used to be something you hoped you could tell your boss and not get fired for. Hey, I got to go to the dentist. Why don't you make it on a Saturday? Why don't you make it before work? Why don't you make it after work? There were always things like that. But now, yes, this new ruling here, employees may use sick leave for appointments for preventative medical care and treatment for health conditions, includes screenings, checkups, patient counseling, and dentist and eye doctor appointments. For what purpose can an employee use safe leave? Oh, yeah. I never heard of this one, but of course New York would have something called safe leave. Employees can use safe leave if they or a family member were victim of any act or threat of domestic violence, unwanted sexual contact, stalking, or human trafficking. And they need to obtain services from a domestic violence shelter, rape crisis center, or other program, participate in safety planning, relocate, or take other actions to protect the employee's safety or that of the employee's family members, meet with an attorney or social service provider to obtain information and advice related to a criminal or civil case, file a domestic incident report, attend civil or criminal court dates, take other actions necessary for the health or safety of themselves or a family member, or to protect those who associate or work with the employee. Imagine you're just trying to run a business. I'm just trying to sell widgets. You're my receptionist in the front office of Widget Inc. And now I have to pay you while you consult with a counselor because your husband is nuts. And now it's my problem. This is New York. This is why the price of everything is so high. Because let me let you in on a little secret, folks. The employer, the business, isn't going to absorb that out of his boat money. It's not coming out of his pocket. He's taking his kids to Disney World. Whatever. However many people take time off because their girlfriend boiled their rabbit in a pot in his kitchen. They're still going to Disney World. That cost of paying that employee is being tacked right onto the price of doing business. Passed on to you, the New York consumer. And that's why New York prices are so high. Wow, that is, when I read that one, safety leave. Safety leave. Safety leave. You can leave if you want to. You can leave your job behind. Safety leave. Holy Jesus Palomino. When are we going to get back to basics? And I understand there was a time employees were treated very, very poorly in the workplace. And that was why unions happened and people got together and said, you know, you're killing us. You're working us for 18 hours. If we want time off, you fire us. I get it. But it's the give them an inch, take a mile syndrome. And that's what's happened over the course of the years with employment. These employees now feel like they are entitled to everything at the expense of the employer. You see it now happening at Starbucks, where these low-level, entry-level job positions, a barista, a fancy name for pour my coffee dummy, and they want a living wage. I want to be able to buy a house, have a family, maybe a Porsche. And they're actually protesting this. That's how insane it's all gotten. And now safety leave. Enjoy. Back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. I warn you.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It certainly is the Anthony Cumia Show. Where did my... Oh, there it is. My phones went. There they go. Let's go. Oh, my good friend, Mr. Boink. Boink, where are we? There it is. Chris Lindenhurst.
Hey, man, how you doing? And the number one rated talk show on this time slot. Love to be a part of it. How are you doing tonight?
Very good, Chris. How are you, my friend? I hope you had a great Christmas, New Year with the family. Give them my love.
Did. Thank you very much. You know, I love listening to your show because it shows that the world we live in is not exactly a world of crapping unicorns. There's no rainbows in this world. And I try to come with good news, but I have none. You know, every story that you've hit on tonight has been right on point. I did see a tweet from Senator Tim Kaine of Maine,
yes.
who was spewing the same wrongness about Trump is not allowed to do this or that.
Yeah,
you know what's
illegal.
scary about this? Tim Kaine, I'm sure, has a team of people around him. He probably has staff like every other person in government, and not one of them could go up to this guy and say, hey, listen, you realize that he can do this. You may not want to say anything like that to get the old foot-in-mouth syndrome.
Could you imagine, though, Chris? Could you imagine doing that and the look you'd get? They feel like they're royalty. You're a lowly peasant if you're an aide or an intern, the people that do most of their work. If you walked up to him and said, hey, you know, technically, not even technically, completely realistically, he can do this, and it isn't breaking law. You're out of work, and you're probably banned and blacklisted from ever working for another politician. So they just sit there as, you know, these politicians need yes men. They surround themselves with yes men.
This is the problem, and this is never going to be solved. Just like another gigantic problem we have in this country, and I was, you know, looking about this whole Minnesota fraud deal. The word fraud, that should be written into the Star-Spangled Banner. It should end with the land of the free and the home of the fraud, because that's what this country is now built on. Everything in this country is fraudulent. Everything from the people, everywhere.
Everything's a scam. Everyone's on the take. It's try to find what to pilfer from, whose pocket you could get your hand into.
Exactly.
That's everything that's going on. And the extent is, if you think it's 100 times what we're seeing, you're still underestimating it. It is so rampant. Just what we're seeing in places like Minneapolis. It's so much bigger than that, and we just keep pouring money into the till out of our tax money that we work. And we pay our taxes like good citizens, and they're robbing us blind, and the politicians do not care.
You know what it's become? It's become now a point of, okay, we understand that the fraud is never going to go away, so maybe we have to do some kind of fraud to take advantage of the situation because it's never going to stop.
Yeah, you almost feel that.
You literally have got to become part of the problem.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You get so pissed off about it, and you go, well, you know, you get the can't beat 'em, join 'em syndrome.
Yeah, look, for anybody that's listening right now and you are in the tri-state area, just look for one small example of what you currently pay in car insurance in the tri-state area. And a big chunk of that is because of the sheer amount of fraud that goes on in the insurance industry in this area.
And who's perpetrating a lot of the fraud? Illegals and you know, the nefarious minority people in the country, the theft that goes on, the fraud of you know, when I've seen so many videos, the people pull up in front of you, they jam on the brakes, and then they blame you, and it goes into a claim. And then there's the carjackings and the smash and grabs. All that goes through your car insurance, and you wind up paying more. A lot of it is fraud. A lot of it's actual theft. It's just you're trying to go through life, lead an honest life, have a little fun, and be able to tuck a few bucks away at the end of the week, and everything is working against you.
And it's not even those perpetrators, like you said. It's also the companies themselves. Again, the fraud is everywhere. Do you know that you can install a camera system in your car to catch these potential people, and to no benefit of you? They don't give you any discounts or money off of your insurance premiums if you're recording the crime that happened to prove that it was fraudulent.
Yeah, you're more apt to get yourself in trouble recording
yes.
than you are having it solve some kind of a crime like it's a movie. Yeah,
the world's insane, man. I can't
Chris,
take it.
I got to move on.
All right, bro.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you online later. There we go. Play video games with Chris. Yeah, I know. I'm a little out of the demo for video games, but it's my life. Video games have been my life since I was a wee lad, and I haven't been able to stop. This is an interesting take. A liberal girl. Her name is Kaylee. Young Kaylee. Wonderful Lil Kaylee. And she's got a list of common terms that are used. I love these videos. First of all, they're all horse crap. There is not one thing that's actually a word origin or a phrase origin. Because it's like I had talked about it a couple of weeks ago, jingle bells. People were saying Jingle Bells is a racist song that came from bells they put on slaves to prevent them from being able to escape unheard. And that's just such nonsense. It's another thing of trying to just demean, degrade, and chisel away with institutions, songs, things that we hold dear, or just the way we go through life. Let's cut down on what they can say. Let's stop people from speaking their mind. Let's call words or phrases racist. And it's ridiculous. But young Kaylee here, a young liberal girl, she's going to tell you about a few terms, and I just found them a little funny. Let's listen.
My name is Kylie, and here are 5 words you use every day that have racist origins. Number 1, hip hip hooray. Although it might sound joyful, hip hip was an anti-Semitic chant used by mobs in Europe in the 1900s, especially during the hip hip riots.
Is there a way to pause? Yeah, thank you. Because hip hip hurrah, she's talking about the 1900s? Hip hip hooray is anti-Semitic? Hip hip hurrah, this goes back to ancient England. That's hurrah, huzzah, hip hip, huzzah. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Let's continue with young Kylie, I guess.
It has a much darker past than people realize. Number 2, moron. Moron was a term used to describe people with intellectual disabilities that was often used to justify forced sterilizations. It was very common among eugenicists.
Could you pause that one? Because I agree with that. Moron. Anyone I call a moron, I would hope they would sterilize them. I'm not sure that's exactly what it was. I don't think they sterilized every moron. But when I call someone a moron, yeah, I'm pretty much saying, oh, my goodness, please sterilize this person. Oh, God, we have a hard out here in a minute. Maybe one more. Okay, roll them.
Meeny, miny, mo. I am shocked by how many people do not know that the word tiger was originally this word. It was common in both the US and the UK, and it took decades for people to change it, even in schools. Number 4, powwow. It's not just a meeting, it's a sacred indigenous ceremony where people gather. Using the term to describe a business meeting can come across as disrespectful, even if you don't mean it to be. And number 5, Eskimo. This was a term given by outsiders to label indigenous people, and the term means eater of raw meat. Many indigenous Arctic people find it offensive and outdated. Words matter, and knowing the roots of these words help us to be more respectful and conscientious people. You use any of these things, I'd encourage you not to, but obviously I'm not the language police. Okay? Peace and love.
So you can't even use the catch a tiger by the toe? She's saying even that can't be used because it used to be something else? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, indeed. We'll be right back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, the Anthony Cumia Show, and that Kylie was interesting, right? All those, oh boy. They're just insane. Liberal women are really insane. You ever notice conservative women, and they don't even have to be insanely conservative, just a little common sense. They're so much easier to deal with and discuss things with. Liberal women are just, whoa, out there. Here's another one. This is a liberal woman's take on Trump and the Venezuelan operation. And let's see what they're thinking. Let's see what an American liberal woman, what her take is, her educated, I'm sure, educated take on what we saw transpire in Venezuela over the past couple of days.
Good morning, my friends. Happy Saturday.
You're not my friend.
Where's the rest of the world? Where is the rest of the world this morning? You can't tell me the world is going to stand by and watch an illegal takeover of another country because you didn't want the Epstein files released. You didn't want people. You wanted to start a war to take the eyes off of the Epstein files.
Ah, that's it, I guess.
Where's MAGA? Where are the Trump supporters in this?
Right here. Thank you.
Who thinks this shit is okay? It wasn't okay when George Bush did it with Iraq.
Yes, it was.
It's not okay now.
But it was. It was okay when George Bush did it with Iraq. In hindsight, there have been a lot of people that have said, oh, boy, that war was really stupid. There was no reason to go into Iraq. Even myself, I got caught up in the hoopla. I went, hip, hip, hooray. Let's go in. But, in hindsight, we have realized that there was nothing. Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11, and it was kind of stupid to go in there. But at the time, where were you, lady? At the time, everyone was psyched about that. And where's the world? This goes with what I said earlier. When people want to bring up, well, if Trump can do this, why can't Putin go in and just take Zelensky? Or why can't any war or nation that wants to go in and take a leader, why can't they just do that to a sovereign nation? Well, first of all, they're not the United States. Sorry. Being the big kid on the block has its advantages. And another thing is no one cares. Where's the rest of the world? The rest of the world is watching going, wow, that guy was a real piece of garbage. And, while I don't like Trump or don't like his policies or this, I'm kind of glad that he went in there and got that guy out of there. And now maybe we could all do business with Venezuela again. Oil, resources, all the stuff that people looked at Venezuela and went, oh, my God, this is terrible. Why can't we do business? So that's where the rest of the world is, honey. They're not thinking, oh, boy, well, Donald Trump is mean. And this was an illegal war. Another one that brought up the word war. Shut your yap. Get back to the coffee maker. What she's talking about. Then there's this. Pramila Jayapal, whatever her name, Jayapal? PayPal? What? Pramila Jayapal. Is that how you pronounce her dumb name? She's commenting on Venezuela. And another one that brings up the need to inform Congress like Trump broke the War Powers Act or broke some rule or law that doesn't exist. So let's listen to Pramila talk about this.
Listen, there is a briefing process, an authorization process for a reason. The founders knew that going to war in any country was something that had tremendous consequence to the American people, and it had to rest with Congress. And we're not talking about a full briefing of Congress, by the way. The traditional procedure is the Gang of Eight would be briefed. There would be conversations. There would be, discussion about what the plan is for the day after. I mean, you can see there's no discussion about what the plan is for the day after. Donald Trump can't run America. Now he wants to go run Venezuela while the American people can't afford health care, can't afford groceries. This is not what the American people want. This is not what is constitutional. This is not what is legal.
The Gang of Eight. Can Pramila tell me or anyone what the Democrats have done with Donald Trump, involving Donald Trump, that would lead him to think he can trust them? You're literally talking to spies. That would be what talking to Congress would be. You want to pull off a military operation? You want it kept secret? It needs to be kept secret. You're trying to get somebody where they're supposed to be at a certain time and place. And all they have shown is their disdain for Donald Trump and their urge to do anything to make him fail at whatever he's trying to do. And he's now supposed to turn around with something as important. These are American soldiers' lives in the balance, not some ridiculous bill to give Somalis more money. This is literally American military lives are at stake. And he's supposed to give you idiots the benefit of the doubt based on what? How you've treated him over his 2 terms? You try to put him in prison. You try to kill him. But he's supposed to go, well, let's talk to the Democrats. Gang of Eight. He's supposed to believe that you will have the best interest of his plan and the lives of American military men in your hearts and your heads when he tells you these things, instead of what we know would be, oh boy, let's screw this up. Screw off. God, they feel like they're so entitled, and all they do is prove that they don't deserve an ounce of consideration from this president. And if he doesn't have to consult Congress for something, he absolutely shouldn't. And in this case, he did not have to consult Congress. War Powers Act. Within 48 hours, he had to let Congress know what was going on. And that's what he did. He let them know well in advance of 48 hours. But what have you done? What have you done, Democrats, to let Donald Trump believe that it's in the best interest of America and these soldiers that are ready to go into battle, maybe, going on a mission? What good would it do telling you people when all you've done is prove over and over again how you're trying to undermine, getting activist judges to shut down whatever he's trying to do to make this country a little bit of a better place, to where it has to go to the Supreme Court that, thank God, in many instances, but not all, judges in favor of the president and what he's trying to do. So no, he shouldn't have gotten in touch with you and let the Gang of Eight know what's going on. Here's Thomas Massey. Thomas Massey. I didn't play this already, did I? No. Thomas Massey is not from Connecticut. That was the other guy, right? Did I play this? I'm not even sure. Thomas Massey. Oh, no, this is the one where he's talking about oil, and he wants, Well, he wants Trump to stop because this is all for oil. And I say, bravo. I say hip, hip, hurrah for the oil war. Let's hear Thomas.
If it were about drugs, we'd bomb Mexico or China or Colombia.
Right. All right.
And the president would not have pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez. This is about oil and regime change.
All right. That sounds good. Is he saying we should bomb Mexico and stuff? No, this is the perfect situation for going in and taking a leader that no one thinks is a leader, that nobody globally really likes unless they're pieces of crap too. I'm sure Cuba is all for returning this guy to Venezuela, but the rest of the world doesn't care. They're looking at the Venezuelan people celebrating, and saying, all right, I guess that worked. We'll see what he does next. We'll see if Trump continues. Is there going to be another night of missiles or bombing, helicopters? Is he going to put troops there? We'll see what he does. But if this is it, if he snatched up an indicted drug kingpin, cosplaying that he's the president of Venezuela, we don't really have much of a problem with it. And you haven't seen a lot of world leaders with those statements that they make on, we strongly condemn what Donald Trump has done. You're just not seeing it. You're seeing it from the liberal Democrats here in this country. That's it. That's about it. So it's not going to happen in Mexico. Should it? Maybe. I don't know. But it's not. We're not going in and snatching that woman president of Mexico or Colombia. I think the president of Colombia just put out a statement, and he was doing the same thing that the president of Venezuela was doing. He's like, come and get me, Trump. Come and get me. So I don't know if that'll happen, but Colombia is not a saint in this either. Colombia is kind of the known coke producer in this hemisphere, at least. So I don't know, but no, it's what they always go to the umpteenth level of trying to exaggerate and blow things up. Should we go to Mexico now? No. Trump's not going into Mexico. It's okay. Settle down. But he took out this guy. Is that okay? Is that okay with you? They cannot react in a sensible way. They go off the rails, these Democrats. I guess Mamdani had a comment. It's a tweet, so it's not audio. But let me get my hands on that one. Boink. There it is. Because Mamdani, the all-powerful mayor of New York City. When you're the mayor of New York City, you have global clout. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. People want to hear what your take is on world affairs. Get back to Gracie Mansion. Appoint another transgender cabinet member and eat with your fingers on a disgusting New York subway train. That's what we voted for, Mamdani. Here's Zorhan. He says, I was briefed this morning on the U.S. military capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife, as well as their planned imprisonment in federal custody here in New York City. That's where he localizes it. That's what they told me in radio at the beginning. Make sure you make it local. If there's a big story, try to get a local angle on it. That's what Zoran Mamdani's doing. Hey, he's here in New York, people. The weather's 72 degrees. Unilaterally attacking a sovereign nation is an act of war and a violation of federal and international law. Well, then bring it. This blatant pursuit of regime change doesn't just affect those abroad. It directly impacts New Yorkers. The time is 20 after the hour. He's doing a radio show here. Keep it local. New York includes tens of thousands of Venezuelans who call this city home. My focus is their safety and the safety of every New Yorker, and my administration will continue to monitor the situation and issue relevant guidance. What the hell do Venezuelans in New York have to do with anything going on in Venezuela and anything Trump did with grabbing the president, Maduro? How does he have to go, I got to keep my Venezuelans safe? What is Trump going to fly in and grab some of them? If they're illegal, I think he should fly in, grab them up, and put them back. If they came here for refuge from a tyrannical dictator president, then they can go back. If you're here illegally from Venezuela, spin it around. Go back. Enjoy your life in your home country, because the big bad dictator's gone. Trump helped you out. But he's got to make it a New York thing. And again, just to reiterate, the guy has no power to do anything as far as this situation goes. So good luck there. I also wanted to get to Brandon Johnson in Chicago, but let me check the time. Yeah, play Brandon Johnson. Or that's right. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting if it's a clip or a tweet. Here it is. The Trump administration, this is Brandon Johnson from Chicago, the mayor. The Trump administration's military action in Venezuela violates international law and dangerously escalates the possibility of full-scale war. Does it? But does it? The illegal actions by the Trump administration have nothing to do with defending the Venezuelan people. They are solely about oil and power. Well, yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with defending the Venezuelan people. The actual thing supposedly was defending American people from Venezuelan drugs. But if it is for oil, you've heard my take during this program. I'm all for it. But the safety of people shouldn't be anything that concerns Brandon Johnson. His city of Chicago is rife with gun fire and deaths every weekend. They're crowing this week about the all-time, or since the 60s, the lowest homicide rate since the 60s. And the reason is that medical technology and doctors, they've just become better at traumatic gunshot wounds now than they were back in the 60s. I think the same amount of people are being shot. I just don't think they're dying, which means the murder rate goes down. Show me the assaults with guns rate. I want to see if that went down with the murder rate. Because if you ask me, the amazing doctors at the amazing Chicago trauma centers are patching these thugs up at record numbers. That's why I think the murder rate is down. But I certainly don't think the rate at which they're shooting each other is down. So, Brandon Johnson, maybe you ought to stay out of the whole Venezuela and protecting people thing. All right, back in a moment. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And let's go to Mark here. Mark in New York. What's up, man?
Hi. Turnaround is always fair play. And the Democrats wanted to turn Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico into states to get 2 times 2 more senators or 4.
Yeah.
Now that the Venezuelans are jubilant that Maduro is out, we could say you're not required, but how would you like we invite you to be the citizens of our 51st state? Now, think about that. Mm-hmm. It would be 2 more Republican senators because it's the Republicans that rescued them from Maduro.
Right.
The oil would be Citgo, which is the original company that took care of oil drilling in Venezuela before The revolutions took it away from them. If it were a 51st state, then the commerce of the oil back and forth to the U.S. would not be subject to tariffs. It would be simply interstate commerce.
Ah, true. Yes.
And so there would be no taxes. It would be very, very cheap oil coming to particularly the East Coast by way of the Gulf. Now, also think of the larger scale things it's accomplished. China was reliant not entirely on Venezuelan oil. They got some from the Middle East and so on, but it was a good chunk. I believe that Venezuelan oil was something between 20 and 25% of what China needed on a daily basis. So this loss of the fuel may slow down their naval escapades toward Taiwan. Of course, they may say, oh, well, this is reciprocal. It's the same thing for us. But they haven't done anything. They have not intervened in the two words. In fact, China hasn't really made a peep worth listening to.
Yeah, that is true. I haven't heard anything from China, and they were there. They were there.
Yeah, now we talked about
delegates
Trump
were there.
Originally talked about Greenland becoming a 51st state.
Yeah.
That should be looked at also for its mineral resources, and the population of 53,000 endorsed it when they came to the airport to greet Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr. But now I suspect that the jubilant Venezuelans who are liberated and emancipated from decades of left-wing horror would vote right of center with the Republicans.
Well, we can only
tell me where I'm wrong. Where am I wrong?
So where am I wrong? Thank you, Mark. I don't know. 51st state, Venezuela. I don't think I agree with that. Let's just take their oil. Why should we have to take care of them, finance them? Let's just take their oil. That's all I say. Max, how's your new mayor treating you there, Max, in Manhattan?
Anthony, thank you for taking my call. Let's not forget that the Venezuelans were involved with the Dominion voting machines, and then it changed over to Smartmatic voting machines.
Yes,
which eventually took away the vote during Trump's second term. So these guys were fooling around with the voting machines. In fact, Giuliani was talking about this, but he was thrown off the air.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Giuliani, he had to pay through the nose, lost everything pretty much because of his talking about the Dominion machines and the election. And now it seems like he's being vindicated, but a day late and a dollar short, as my old man used to say.
Yeah. And by the way, the name Dominion changed over to Smartmatic.
Same crap, though. Different name. Thank you, Max. I know you wanted to talk about Iran, Russia, and China. They were all in Venezuela. I think it's great that Trump showed some force, went in there and said, no. This ain't going to happen in this hemisphere. So
exactly. It's in the backyard now.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks, Max. Here's an interesting little take. I guess the Biden-Harris administration had put up a $25 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Nicolás Maduro. The statement was, in solidarity with the Venezuelan people, the U.S. government and our partners around the world are acting today. The Department of State is increasing the reward offers up to $25 million each for information leading to the arrest and or convictions of Nicolás Maduro and Maduro's Minister of Interior, Diosdado Cabello. The Department of State also added a new reward of up to $15 million for the Defense Minister, Vladimir Pedrino Lopez, and 3 reward offers stemming from criminal narcotics indictments announced in March of 2020. So Biden-Harris put a reward on this guy. Like, arrest him. We want him arrested, taken out of office. We want it so much that we're going to give you $25 million if you secure his arrest. Now, my take on this is Trump should get that. Shouldn't Donald Trump put in his claim for Biden-Harris's $25 million reward? I think so. Why wouldn't you? He's the one that did it. A lot better than just information leading to the arrest. That's for sure. So, I don't know. I think he should get that money. What a kick that would be. His lawyers go to work and legally they have to give him $25 million. Put it toward the ballroom. Yeah. All right, people. Love it. I love that you tune in. Love doing the show. I hope you all had a great New Year's Eve and you have a great 2026. We are just starting. What a way to start off the year with this military operation. All right, Anthony Cumia on X. That's where you'll find me. And we'll be back next week. All right, so tune in then and have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks for listening to The Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear The Anthony Cumia Show Sunday nights at 8. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?